So, what are we doing? Well, just a little bit of honing. Got this new stone, nice Oozuku. I just sealed it up, sides and the bottom here. This is the skin, or kawa. People make a big deal. Some people make a big deal about the kawa, and they want to read all kinds of things out of the kawa. Like, well, they're not freaking tea leaves, all right? It's skin. It's a deposit that formed either before or after the initial particles settled at the bottom of the ocean. I can't tell you definitively. 90% of the time, kawa is very hard. If it comes up the side of the stone and winds up near the top, it's always good to dress it down and get it out of the way, because even small bits of it can get into the slurry, and then that'll just like ruin your freaking day. Anyway, this came to me with a really ugly green Asahi top. It was recommended. A friend of mine texts me. He says, I know you like really hard stones, but ... And that was it for like a day, and then he followed up and sent me a photo. And the bottom isn't perfectly flat. Well, it's a natural stone. And it's not like garden slate for making a pathway or something. It's a wet stone. So they cut these things up. Sometimes the bottoms are a little more riven than others. Yeah, sometimes they're perfectly flat too. Whatever. So what do you do about that? Well, his second text said it's not too bad, and I think you really like this stone. So it comes in the mail, and, well, it's ugly as hell. The skin was actually better looking than the top, and I just got to sealing it, and then I went to lap it, and lo and behold, bam, this beautiful Mizu blue-gray color comes up after all the heavy oxidized top surface wore away. And I started to get really excited because I love stones with that color. And the other thing was, lapping it took forever. I used a Toma 140, which is real coarse, and it took an hour and 15 minutes to make this dead flat. And, it was essentially flat to start off with. Could have honed on it, actually. I wouldn't recommend that, especially with the top being as oxidized as it was. The edges needed to be chamfered at the very least, but, once you're in the sink with the lapping plate, you got to go for it. And, it took forever. Honestly, I'm still feeling it. So, okay, so it's got some wobble. What do you do about that? Well, there's this stuff called cardboard. And take a little piece, you shove it under the stone, and, basically you're okay. Magic, right? You can wrap, put down paper, whatever. Somebody recently said, well, I could fill the bottom with epoxy and build a fence and pour it in. And, man, geez. Keep it simple, all right? You want to do that, fine, but, geez, just so much work and drama over such little tiny stuff, like a little bit of water. I'll be honest, I can hone without putting that cardboard in there, and so can you and anybody else. It's just, I hear about, oh, well, it's not flat. Well, go buy a synthetic. They're perfectly flat. Well, sometimes they are. They should be. But they aren't always. So this is water. It's my little spritz bottle. Plain water, regular water, comes out of the tap. I don't use, Poland Spring or Evian. I don't use distilled water. For a long time, people were buying into this story. This Poobah has his website, and he pontificates all this wisdom he's accumulated. That's sarcasm, in case you haven't figured it out. And he wrote about, you got to use distilled water. Then somebody pointed out that distilled water actually dissolves minerals out of things, so then he took that off his website and whatever. Nobody I know in Japan ever heard of that, so I'm guessing, he got it from somewhere or made it up. Yeah, that happens. People make shit up all the time. People want to sound good. People want to be the go-to. They want to go on social media, and they want to be, the Mac with all the info. They have I call it a Pied Piper complex. They got to have people follow them. They got to have people like, I don't know, obeying them or whatever it is. It's nuts. Anyway, if you read something, you hear something, even like anything I say, doesn't sound right to you, don't do it. Challenge it. Figure it out. Try stuff. Look into it. Don't just go blindly out into the ozone doing what people say. Anyway, sorry, got off topic there. I'm in a little bit of a mood due to some anti-social media events that have gone on in the past couple of days. And you see me, I keep spraying here just to kind of get full coverage. It's a really hard stone. Water will sit on top of it for a long time. Ridiculously long. Okay, I got this Nagura here. It's a Tomo. That's what I'm going to start off with. This is one of my favorite Tomo Naguras. I have it on my website. A whole bunch of people have offered to buy it. And unfortunately, I don't want to sell it. All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm working the surface and making sure that everything feels right. Recently lapped. I polished it down, but I want everything smooth. And even the finest sandpaper is probably not going to be as smooth as doing what I make the surface as smooth as what I'm doing now. Oops, sorry about that. Hope my focus is still in. Anyway, alright, so this feels pretty good to me. And what I'm going to do now, heresy, I know, I'm just going to wash it off. I'm wasting good stone. No, I'm not really. That's why I buy the stone, to use it. It's a tool. And as cool as that Nagura is, with its, little stamps, a little Kyoto Whetstone Association stamp under there, a little Nakayama thing. And there's no problem with me using a Nakayama Tomo on an Oozuku. And I see something in there still. None of that matters. You want the same kind of stone in the sense that it should be a finishing stone. That's what you make Tomo out of. You don't need to have Oozuku with Oozuku. You don't need to have Kita with Kita. None of that. Alright. Now I'm just going to put a little water on here. You're noticing that I'm not soaking the whole stone down. You don't need to. Ego. Guy owns a couple of gold dollars and starts talking like he's doing something freaking Mickey Mouse mystical bullshit on the edge. It's like, just take it easy already. Hone. It's not sharp enough, hone it some more. Chances are, if it's not sharp enough, you missed the bevel. There isn't enough abrasion going on right now to make an undercooked bevel cut well. Just so happens that this edge was in real good shape before I started, so I don't know if you can hear it. I got construction in the background too, so that's like a distraction. Sorry about that, but there's really no sound. Yeah, those guys with the construction are killing me. That shit started at 9 o'clock this morning. I want to go over there and kill them. It's my day off. I want to sleep late. I love sleeping in on my day off. Like a vacation day, 9:01, jackhammers. Now they're I don't know, sounds like they're loading a freaking dumpster. Anyway. There's nothing here, just a wisp of a sound. The feedback is here, but the feedback is a different type of feedback than you would get with a less hard stone. And learning to feel feedback is part of the honing process. You got to listen to what the stone is telling you. You have steel on a rock. Where those points meet, there's a vibration. Even if it feels smooth, that's still a vibration. All right, and that will get transmitted to your hand. Other indicators, how's it sound? Visual, see that? That's called undercut. How is the slurry coming up over the edge? Does it ride up to the shinogi? All right, so it's not a shinogi. It's not a sword. I don't know what the real word is, but I'm talking about, when I say shinogi, I'm talking about that line where the part of the razor that's not the bevel meets the part that is the bevel. The cutting part, well, obviously, that's the edge. I call that line a shinogi. All right, is it coming up over that? You know, and in and of itself, it doesn't mean anything. You got to read it. You know, how fast is your stroke? Is your stroke speed and whatever, is it always the same? Slurry density. How much slurry? Like, for example, if you have a lot of slurry like this, you can go up over the shinogi fairly easily. If you only have a little bit, it may not go up so easily. Let me see if I can show that. Well, I would need a less done edge, I guess. You'll have to believe me. Well, don't believe me. Try it at home on your own. If this was just water, it won't come up over the edges easily. Okay, it'll push in front. I know you're saying, well, you have stuff pushing in front now. Yes, I do, because there's a lot, and you're only going to get so much of it up on the blade. So that's another thing. How much slurry are you talking about? But anyway, you learn these things. How do you learn them? You learn them by doing them. You pay attention. You take notes. You compare. Talk to sensible people who know what they're doing, who aren't trying to impress you with their omnipotent honing powers, and they'll probably share with you their experiences. You put it all together. Trust me, you'll get you'll get a shaving edge out of the deal. Might not happen the first time or the second time, or maybe it will. My first natural was a cuticle. I was working with Norton 4K, 8K combo, and got the cuticule, and I was able to shave with my first edge. Shave well, that's another story. You're probably wondering what I'm doing right now. Okay, I got a little bit of warp in this blade. I don't talk about it much. So I work on different parts of the blade. So if you ever see like the toe come up or whatever, that's what that's all about. It's a little bit of a roll. It's very subtle. Anyway, my first kati edge was usable, but by my standards today, deplorable. And it took me, a bunch of times to figure out how to make it better. So I took notes, do the dually cut thing, what kind of strokes, how many, how much pressure, trying to be consistent. If you go out of the gate with like doing something different every time, making 20 like different adjustments, that can't possibly work because you don't know what you did, and you don't know which thing did the trick if it did work, and you don't know what did your edge in if it didn't work. Make one adjustment at a time. Pay attention. My thing was trying to figure out how many strokes I should go, and I counted back then because I was trying to learn, and I was learning how to feel. I stopped counting pretty quickly because it just seemed to me that it was a distraction I didn't need to go through. I don't know if you can see it, but like all of a sudden the undercut just went nuts. Okay, full length of the blade. Anyway, forgot what I was talking about. I tend to zone out when I hone. So actually making these videos, if I'm actually honing like I am now, it's kind of hard for me because like I get into like an almost catatonic state. Not that it's happened, but I've come close to like literally drooling because I'm not paying attention to anything other than all of the indicators that I'm talking about, and I just kind of like lose focus. You try stuff that works, keep rolling with it. If 20 strokes works, try 30. 30 might be better, try 40. 30 sucks, try 25. 25 sucks, go back to 20. And that type of thing. Use process of elimination. Write it down. Write it down. You're not going to remember. All right? Trust me on that. So how long do I do this? Well, until I'm done. How long does it take to hone a razor? Who gives a shit? I have a video. I set a bevel to a finished edge in 15 minutes. I hate honing like that. I did that video to make a point. The point being, you can do it. That's not why I hone. I don't even hone so I can shave. I hone because I like to hone. I like hones. I like stones. I grew up with stones. My family, they cut stones. They belonged to these lapidary things, these organizations. They had competitions for, people want to analyze the skin. I don't think that's all that important. You know what matters? Analyze this. Okay, this thing right here, this honing thing, analyze that. How does it work? How does it feel? How did it lap? What's the slurry like? Look at the bevel. Check the edge. Can you work with it? Is it making you happy? Yeah. Some stones are very expensive because they come with a lot of provenance, and some of them, for me, they're worth it to buy them. I have a few the famed Nakayama, Marukas, which not even convinced that people have the story on that stamp right at this point. They're expensive, but I didn't buy them because they had a stamp. Bought them because they rock, literally. Difference from one stone to another can be a very subtle thing. If you're not dialed into it, then it's not going to matter. When you are dialed into it, it's all the difference in the world. Really depends on where you're at. Hell, some people like those cheapo Oozuku flagstone rocks that sell for like $70. Hey, you love it? That's fine. People ask me to get them for them all the time. I won't buy them. They're cheap. I can get as many of them as I want. Just not my thing. I'd rather have a more refined stone. Chances are, if I bought a stone, it comes to me highly recommended. Several people have touched it and used it. Very few of the stones I get come with stamps. Some do because certain other factors, but most of them have been honed on. Sometimes the stamp is under there, but it's been used, and whatever tool was used to test the stone is pretty much wiped it out. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just a stamp. Even that Camisari stamp. You know what that means? Doesn't mean it's gonna give your Camisari a razor's edge. What it means is it's a small size stone, a little rectangular, and that's what they're recommending to use for a Camisari, because in Japan, a stone this size is really for tools. And, the culture is into this whole scene. It's almost like a religion in a way, and I mean that in a very positive light. So, in conversation, you talk about honing a razor, you might hear the collector or the seller or the wholesaler or whoever you're dealing with say something along the lines of, well, they'll regard the stone as being luxury, because you have so much space to work on. And sometimes you might pick up on a little bit of sarcasm, because you don't need it. So people get real serious about this stuff, and they view things, in a different way. Here in the West, you get this testosteronal bullshit, this frat boy nonsense. It's like, this rock blows my cortical away. Well, I don't think it's possible for a stone to blow another stone away. I don't know, maybe you just can't hone on your cortical. It's 50,000 K. No, it's not. That's bullshit. That nonsense was getting kicked around the boards when I started getting active, and you can just dismiss that. Jnats, for the most part, finishing stones. Awasedo class. Awasedo. Out of the gate, effective particle size is going to put you 5 to 8K, something like that. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more.